This is what gets me about materialistic stuff. B Simone recently, comedian, actress, whatever she is, right? She she recently was crying, basically, almost cried because she couldn't afford Bloomingdale's or she had to go to H&M. Tell me, you're telling like that's the stuff that really gets me. Like you're that people fail to realize all the Gucci stuff and the what is it called, Dolce and Gabbana. It's all H&M stuff with their logo on it. So they don't understand. Like, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into Did You Hear That with Shimei and Lauren. I am Shimei Cook.
I am Lauren Gilchrist.
Episode 9. How you doing, Lauren? It's crazy. 9 episodes.
Yes.
Can't believe it. We're looking like the Black Panther today. We both got black on.
Yeah. Wakanda forever.
Power to the people. How you doing though, Lauren?
Tired, but I'm good. I
Yeah.
mean, like is the summer almost over? We're in July.
So I was watching the Today Show this morning, and they were already talking about back to school stuff. Like, all right, can we get through like July? Can we get through first 4th of July first? We're taping this on July 1st,
Yeah.
people. But can we get through 4th of July first? That's the question. But no, I can't wait for July 11th. I'm going to write to 7-Eleven to get me a free slushie.
Yep.
Just found that out on the Today Show. I was like, really? I didn't know that. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. I was like, and they said any size too. I was like,
What?
whoa, okay. Yes.
Hold on. When I was a kid, they had it in our area, but it was only for the small, never any
Oh, it's fit
size.
any size. I guess because it's their 90 something, so they're trying to get like, I
Oh,
don't know. Don't quote me. But listen, people anyways begin to, refill and drink it and refill it anyway, so they might as well. Yeah, but anyways, today's episode is about personal challenges. Lauren said she's gonna like this episode, so let's get let's get into it. What are some of your biggest fears about the future, Lauren?
hmm. Well, the first one that comes to mind, this may sound a little sad, but I think one of my biggest fears for me is not finding love. Like, I think and I'll explain this, especially with my
Okay.
internship right now. I'm realizing that a lot of the younger people in the newsroom are not in relationships, are not married, or there's a lot of older mentors I have that are in the news business, media business, and they're either divorced in these long term situationships, or either advising me not to get married, advising me not to have kids. And I feel like my biggest fear is like not being able to have that love life or that husband and that family. Like that's a big fear for me. And kind of like if I really like want my career, am I gonna have to sacrifice all that? Like that's a huge fear of mine right now.
I think with some success, there does come with some sacrifices. I was recently watching it's on Hulu, this Barbara Walters documentary. Barbara Walters, she was married. Barbara Walters, the creator of The View. She was like the
Mhm.
go-to back in the day when it comes to like one-on-one interviews, 2020, all that stuff. So, like she's a Hall of Famer. She's a on the a icon and when it comes to journalism and broadcasting, especially when it comes to female journalists. And she was married at one point, but I think her marriage didn't work out because she took so much pride in her career. And she also said that she didn't have children, you know, biologically. She adopted, and she said that she regrets the type of mother she was towards her daughter. Um, because she wasn't always there. She really wasn't, the best mother she thought she could be because her career was first to her in her mind. So I think that comes, and that's something that's a big fear too, I will say, Lauren. For me about the future, dying alone, like not having a legacy. I think, but I also want to be in a scenario where I can financially be stable. I don't want
Yeah,
to have a child and I'm in like in market 120 and making like $16,000 a year. Like I don't want to. Hopefully I'm never in that situation, not gonna wood.
yeah,
But like I want to be financially stable. I want to be like, seasoned in my career, comfortable where I'm living. I don't want to be living in a big city. I don't want to be, raising a family in a big city. I want to be in the suburbs where there's a picket fence. We could go to the school bus, we could go to the park. Like that. I really want that. But my biggest fear is being over protective and afraid to take risk because sometimes we overthink and talk ourselves out of to do stuff, but I think that us making mistakes and anybody in life, it can teach you. So I think my biggest fear when it comes about the future is not being valued,
yeah,
and also dying alone. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. The whole like dying alone and just like I said, realizing especially the career we want, there's just so many sacrifices and I'm kind of afraid of like the alone aspect or just lately too finding community around me sometimes that will I ever have the community that I desire? Because I feel like there's been so many people around me here in this area where it's like they only want to be around you to use you or um
That's true. Yeah.
be around you because of your status and things like that. I want genuine friendship, genuine people in my life like that around me all the time. I think another fear, one of my biggest fears is just the fear of failure. Or getting to a point in my career where I'm like, why did I ever try? Or like, why did I ever do this? And I think the way the industry is going, sometimes my fear also is like, will there be room for me in what I want to do? Because
Exactly. Because it's like so many people,
yeah,
like, where can I fit in?
yeah,
It's just like, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
yeah. Like between it being already a tight race, but also with everybody being a content creator, everybody starting podcasts, social media, like all of that. I think that's one reason why I don't like podcasts because I feel like it's taking up space um for
I
people.
changed her mind though. She likes it now. That
Yes.
she don't
Yeah,
want.
you changed my mind a lot with that. But I think with certain podcasts, I immediately see how like even with TikTok, the way social media has blown up in the past 4 to 5 years since COVID, like people are making careers out of this. And when you see like the red carpets or even like the DNC, where there were so many like influencers invited there compared to journalists, it's like my fear is okay, what if my profession is no longer
Needed.
yeah.
That's fair. I feel like there's a lane where I think traditional journalism will go out of style in a way.
Mhm.
I think that's really, especially like because of cable television is really going out of style now. Unless you're like a like pro MAGA, unless it's Fox News, okay, then that's really those people are not going anywhere. But when it comes to like traditional,
Mhm.
news, I think that stuff is starting to wind down, and you see and you know this, Lauren. Ratings have gone, the expectation for ratings have gone down because of streaming. People are going to, Netflix and, YouTube and now podcasting. I think that, and I mentioned Barbara Walters earlier, where that was appointment television. You get what I'm saying there? There's no such thing as appointment television unless it's sports. Even that's about to go to streaming. That's going to streaming now. So it's just like, it's kind of tough fitting in, but at the same time, you see, you have to understand when it comes to the world, how we live it, you have to meet with people where they're at. People are at social media. You know, the if you want to target a certain audience, people know you talk about the DNC. These candidates knew to market to TikTok. They knew the market to Instagram Reels and all that stuff. They knew to invite these different influencers because or go on these podcasts because they knew that's where the people are. You got
Mhm.
to meet what the people are. So I feel like when it goes to it, I think those the skills are still there though, because you see these news anchors, you see these television hosts, they're still doing their regular job, but they have like I bring Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith was on TV, every day, but he has his own podcast. So now, back in the day, probably in the early 2000s and all that stuff you can, people wanted to see you on TV. They can
Yeah.
only see you on TV. Now, people can see you anywhere. On TV, on radio or podcast, they can see you anywhere. So it's really how the world is right now. And we have to adapt to it. And I think in a way, that creates more jobs in a way because you're gonna need more hands on deck. Everybody can't do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I agree.
So, all right. How do you deal with anxiety and stress?
Yikes.
Worse.
I think I've gotten better with that. Um, I think a lot of it for me personally is prayer, and my faith. Talking to God, talking to Jesus about my issues, learning to write things down. I find I get stressed really easy when I have a lot on my plate, which is all the time. So I think for me, I have to learn how to write things down and like compartmentalize each thing. That helps. Um, Also, I've learned, or I'm trying to break the pattern of like having to be the person for everybody and everything, because I feel like that caused me a lot of anxiety, worrying about, oh, I'm letting this person down, or if I don't do this, it's not going to get done, and what are they going to do without me? Type of like mindset sometimes, um, and that's kind of helped me with managing anxiety. Um, Learning how to carve out time just for myself, just to be quiet, whether that's just watching a movie, watching a show, um, that helps a lot. Um, and I think pushing through also. Like sometimes anxiety can be really like crippling. It makes you want to like just hide or like curl up and just not do anything. But I think sometimes like facing your fears or pushing through a difficult time um, kind of helps you manage anxiety, because what I've learned, like literally as an adult, I'm learning that the problems never stop, the
Mm.
issues never stop. It's always going to be something. My mom, like when I was a teenager, I used to like fight with my mom a lot and say things like, every time I turn around, it's always something. And she would always be like, well, that's life. That's life. And as I've learned, like I said, it's always going to be something. So you have to learn how to navigate it, or it's going to beat you. Like you're either going to have to show up and move on and keep pushing through, and manage that, or it's gonna take over.
Therapy helps as well.
Yeah.
I would say that I've been in therapy for 2 years. So I think that really helps. I think all Black people should go to therapy because we go through the most stuff, go
Yes.
through the most stuff in America, and in general. So we have a lot of stuff to deal with that. I'll say now that, sometimes I didn't, I always used to, try to distract myself from, not being busy. I think being busy was like my
Hmm.
my addiction. in a way, like, I was addicted to work. I was workaholic. So when I got stressed, I used to just eat and just eat and eat and eat. So I think like that, how I manage it now is just when I feel overwhelmed or I feel like my blood is starting to boil, I just stop. I just stop. I turn off my phone or I just put on now I said this a couple episodes ago. I watch my stories, I watch my soap opera, what's it called? Beyond the Gates. So I just start watching, stuff to distract me. And like just stuff like that. Some people like watching Love Island. I don't think that's a good show to watch.
No, no.
No, but I can see you in that show. We gotta see the Lord to Love Island, USA.
You think I would actually find love though?
Yes, I think so. I think so. hmm I think so. And I host it.
You would be a great host though. Like I said, like y'all don't understand. When I first met Shimei, and I think about this all the time, I never like open up to strangers off the bat.
Mhm.
In that one dinner, I just felt like so comfortable. Like you're a great host.
Thank you. Well, NBC, Peacock, NBC Universal, give me a call. Yeah, I'll be happy to host or be the co-host of Love Island in the USA. I probably gotta get in shape for that. So yeah, they want a chubby person there. They never do that, which is so wrong. Everybody doesn't have a six pack. Everybody does, but that's neither here or there. Okay.
We digress.
As we digress, exactly. Um, but no, the therapy and watching, get distracting myself with other things and getting back, and taking advantages of those dull moments where, okay, it's just like, if you got a few minutes here, just sit back and just quiet.
Yeah.
We're like just sometimes quietness is really helpful. So yeah, stuff like that. All right. What's something you're working on what's something you're working on improving about yourself, Lauren?
Mm. I think one thing that I'm working on is just meeting people where they are and not expecting everybody to be on the level that I'm on. Um, how do I put this? So I feel like the past 2 or 3 years in college have been a little bit rough. And, being a student leader, being an SGA, like I had an issue with a lot of people because I'm a person who likes order. I like things a certain way. And there's a lot of people who feel the total opposite. And
Mm,
I feel like what I've been working on is just not expecting everybody to show up how I show up. Um,
Yeah, you would set yourself up for failure. I
yes.
learned that the hard way as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, just meeting people where they are, like, and letting things roll off my back. Not everyone's gonna be like me. Um, Listening to people. I think that's one thing I'm also just working on, just listening, hearing people out. Even if I don't agree, instead of just shutting people down, even if I'm right and they're clearly wrong. Um, just listening to
You're
people.
different. You're different than me. If I know I'm right and that I have the evidence to know that I'm right, I have to. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm working on that. And I think just from the past few weeks, like what did you tell me, Shema? You told me to invest in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on that. Like
Okay.
just really showing up for me, and not waiting on somebody else to do it. Like if you want change in your life, you have to start with yourself. And I think showing up for myself, being a little bit more intentional in the decisions I make. While we're young, a lot of people say just do stuff for the plot. I've kind of like broken out of that mindset. really just being intentional with my time, what I do, eating better. I'm actually getting on a workout routine type thing now. I've never been that type of person, but I'm actually, this is like my third week kind of being consistent.
Is
Um,
that before or after the ice cream? I'm joking. I'm trolling Laura because
yes,
Laura loves that's her guilty.
that
That's
was
her guilty.
before. It is. I
Okay,
love ice
she
cream.
loves ice cream.
Yeah. Um, yeah. That
I'm
was
sorry.
before. Yeah, just but still with even that, like being mindful of what I'm consuming. Um, I think that's really what I'm working on, just investing in myself, I've poured so much into my last relationship and I realized, don't ever do that again. Like, of course, if you get into another relationship down the line, show up for that person, but don't ever show up more for someone else than you're showing up for yourself.
I'll say one thing. I'm totally agree with you. Concur with that. Don't have expectations on something or how or expect someone to do something how you would do it, and then when it don't happen, like you thought it would, don't get upset because you're gonna always get upset. That's
Yeah.
number one. One thing I really would say is um. hmm, improving myself, I would probably say taking more time, stop reacting, and process. You
Yes.
don't always have to give like an immediate answer to stuff. Like when someone asks you to do something, you don't always have to say give them an answer right away. Cause
Yeah.
then sometimes that sets you up for failure. So I feel like, giving your time just to breathe.
Hmm.
Just to, one thing I just really want to improve on is just preparing for the real adulthood,
Yeah.
before uh we graduate, before I graduate. We're both going into our senior year. We're just preparing to be a real adult. And sometimes that's scary.
Yeah. It is.
It's scary. Just imagine like you gotta well, okay, I did kind of go through it one year, my sophomore year, but like living by yourself, having a responsibility, you do stuff by yourself. But just imagine like but I still have family in the same state. Just imagine if I had to move, right? And
Pay for
I'm
everything.
pay for everything. I'm in God, this is just a worst case scenario. My family's in Connecticut, and I'm in Ohio. How's that? Like, that's gonna be sick. That's a scary. But I feel like that search of adulting, and just trying to find myself in what I'm trying to be within my career. I think that's one thing I need to improve on. I just to needs to embrace it rather than being scared of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Go
agree with
ahead.
you. Um, I think that kind of ties into the point of just building better habits because I think that's one thing that's coming to mind too. Like going to my senior year, preparing for adulthood, like just being mindful of certain things, creating better habits. So when I'm 40, I'm not like, why am I like this? Um, I think another thing for me that I've been improving on, and I don't know if it's just because, I'm low on funds right now, but just being mindful of spending. The
Uh,
overconsumption trend on TikTok, like realizing that I don't need this. I don't need to buy this and that and just be so consumed with spending, following every trend, like just being a little bit more mindful of that. And I think what's helped me, this may sound so bad, but like death, like seeing family members struggle or like going through the process of a family member dying, things like that, realizing that I honestly don't need all these things because when you die, somebody's going to be throwing it away, or that's something else that somebody else is going to have to go through for you. um that type of thing. I know that's really
yeah.
it's really dark, but
No, no, no. It's true though. Like
yeah.
I think we live in this society where
Mhm.
like I've been trying to watch like shows and it's just sometimes when I see like people with so much material stuff, it's just like, what's the point? Like,
Yes.
what's the point? It's just like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I could never understand why people just love like so much materialistic stuff, like the name brand stuff and all that stuff. This is what gets me about materialistic stuff. B B Simone recently, comedian, actress, whatever she is, right? She she recently was crying,
Mm.
basically, almost cried because she couldn't afford Bloomingdale's or she had to go to H&M. Tell me, you're telling like that's the stuff that
Yeah.
really gets me. Like you're that people fail to realize all the Gucci stuff and the what is it called? Dolce and Gabbana. It's all H&M stuff with their logo on it. So they don't understand. Like, I just don't understand. And then the people, I think that's what people fail to realize. The value of stuff is like, it's more than materialistic stuff. It's about experiences. It's about, just living life. Like, people rather be broke and living in their mom's basement
Yes.
than but they'll make sure they have that Gucci bag or that what is it called?
Lululemon,
Lululemon, yeah. No,
the
there's another
Louis
it's
Vuitton.
another bag. What is it called? It's like
Okay.
a Birkin. There we go. Yep. Yeah, it's just like, what's the point?
It's
What's the point? And
and
I feel like it's worse now with guys. Cause the guys, we know one that's just this I just don't I just never get
that was a mess.
Yes, I just never understand what's the point of that. I just don't understand. Like, what's the value in that? Like, who are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove?
Thank you.
Like, I just don't understand. I never will.
Me neither. And for her to cry over that, they're
Yeah.
about clothes. And for me, H
People who can't afford housing because this economy. You're crying about Bloomingdale's. I get it. Okay, it's the fact that she made it publicized.
yeah.
That's the thing. It's not that she said it. It's the fact that it was publicized. It's not like you're saying it, with your rich friends behind the scene, like, oh, I can't afford Bloomingdale's. We gotta go to the H&M. And H&M is expensive.
It is. It's expensive as I don't know what. And I mean, just think about the people who do like her and look up to her and wear H&M. Like, what is that supposed to say to them, I never want to be so high and mighty where the people I inspire, you know, I turn them away because of something like that. That's how I'm looking at it.
And one thing that I really appreciate about, and I love that the people that I look up to in media and all that stuff, they were like all for affordability. Like when I went for my 16th birthday, I went to see Live with Kelly and Ryan. And I had I think Forever 21 or H&M jacket. And Ryan said, "Oh, I got some Forever 21 in my closet. I mean, I got some H&M in my closet too." And Ryan Seacrest makes over hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And at that time, he was producing the Kardashians. So he makes hundreds of million dollars a year. So that dude got money. So if he said he got H&M in his closet, along with he'll wear some Gucci shoes. But we digress. Okay, but it's Ryan Seacrest, of course. But even Wendy Williams,
Yeah,
that's the icon. She'll tell you in a minute, oh, this dress is from JC Penney. This dress is from Macy's. It's not about the name brand stuff, but Wendy did love her now, especially now. She loved her Louis Vuitton and all that stuff. But when she was Wendy in her prime, she was not afraid to do a little bit of both. There's nothing wrong with pinching your dollar. It's nothing wrong. It's just I don't understand. I really
yeah,
don't.
especially in this economy. Like,
Especially in this economy. Especially in this economy.
it's just I'm not a fan of her, but I feel like that just kind of made it worse because I'm really sitting up on a podcast crying because See, that's what I'm saying. This is why people don't need podcasts. Like that's not to me, that's not a problem. Like I remember, my parents were going through a hard time my like freshman year of high school. And, they sat me and my brother down for a conversation telling us, hey, our finances aren't in the space where they usually are. And so moving forward, we're gonna have to do XYZ. And I remember for that time period, just watching, my parents count everything at the store and, still making sure me and my brother had everything we needed. But, there are families, actually struggling, actually having real decisions they have to make. And
They get Medicare and all
yeah,
that stuff. Exactly.
yeah,
Mhm.
like people are struggling. And for her to just I don't know what she wanted people to say when she said that.
I understand. It's like it's rich people's problems.
Yeah.
And I hope to get to that problem where I hope to get to that place where I don't have to like it's just like when I get to that place, I'm not gonna say I hope to. When I get to that place, right, where I'm financially stable, I can afford to go to Bloomingdale's, which I won't, even if I had the money to, I won't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll still shop at Amazon. I still shop at, what is it called? Shein, Temu,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I go to the store here and there, but like I'm not really for the flashy stuff and it's kind of and people say like when I say that it's kind of hypocritical. I say like when I talk about like flashy stuff, I learned well, yeah, you saw it. I have a Coach bag, right? I have a Coach book bag. But it's not like I have a Coach book bag, but you know how long I have had that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get Coach every day or
Yeah.
every year. I've had that book bag since my freshman year of high school.
Hmm.
I'm going to my senior year of college. That bag is almost 8 years old.
And that's how it should be with luxury items.
Exactly. I'm not. It's like in that I probably won't ever buy a bag like that again
Mhm.
because it was like, and I used to like I used to think that is these materialistic stuff was to live for, and we lose the value of stuff because people don't. Oh, if he can't like, especially females, if he can't buy me this, if he can't buy me that, I don't want to be with him. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's stupid. That's really stupid, in my opinion. But we digress. That's rich people's problem. That's what I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if I got some food in the refrigerator, especially these groceries, sure.
Yes.
As long as I got some food in the refrigerator, I got some TV to watch, and I got a way to and from work. I could
Yes.
go out once in a while. You know,
It'd be the
I'm
simple
good.
things.
It'd be the simple things. It'd be the simple things that people just take for granted. But we digress. All right, time for that talk question of the day. When do you feel most confident and when do you feel the most insecure?
Mm. I think I feel most confident when I get things done to the
Okay.
best of my ability. So if it's a project I'm assigned to, or an event I'm planning, or if I had like a speaking engagement or something, something big that I have to get done and it gets accomplished the way I want it to, that's when I feel like the most confident. Um, or just being prepared for things. Like that's when I feel confident. Like if it's an interview, for example, if I have all my research and things, materials together, I'm ready for that interview. I'm ready to talk to this person, ask them because I'm prepared. Um, that's when I feel really confident, or when I guess things are going well in my life, pretty confident. I think I'm most insecure in spaces where I can't be myself.
Mm, that
Or
means that space is not for you.
yeah, like I think that's when I feel most insecure. Or this is really bad, Shimei. Look at you being a host. This is
What?
just
I'm
uh,
just asking a question.
when I think about parts of my last relationship, just being with someone who really didn't value or appreciate me. And it seemed like no matter what I did, you know, I just was never, I guess, good enough. I think that's what made me insecure in some areas of my life. And
Well,
watching,
you weren't valued.
yeah, I wasn't valued, and I saw him value other people or treat other people better than how he would treat his own girlfriend. I think that's what kind of made me insecure because it was like, what am I doing wrong? Or
Mhm.
like I said, just being in spaces that where I don't feel valued or I can't really show up authentically as myself. That's when I start feeling insecure because I don't like to be somebody that I'm not. I don't like to suppress how I feel. I don't like having to change who I am.
I think what makes me the most confident is when I'm in my element.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the same as we were saying, like when I'm doing things that I enjoy, when I'm doing things that, bring me peace and bring me joy and bring me, happiness. I think that's really brings me like confidence. Doing my talk show, that brings me so much happiness. And putting a smile on the people's faces, I think that brings me happiness as well. Makes me feel more confident to answer the question directly. What makes me feel insecure when I'm around other people and I feel like I'm not as good as them. That's make me like feel a little insecure. Like I'm not as talented. I don't have the much accolades as them. I feel like I'm behind because like they're doing this, I'm not doing that. Like it's just like it kind of reminds you like you always need to be on your A game, no
Yeah.
matter what. So I think that makes me a little insecure, especially in this industry. You think like we say this all the time, like when we're on our campus, we think we're the biggest thing, the biggest star to ever live. And when we leave, we can go to other places where there's good people the same as good as you on their campus, all in all one place. It's like, okay, whoa, like, okay, maybe need to work on in this show. I think that's the part of life, though. I think it's some stuff that there's ways that life will humble you,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that makes me feel a little insecure. Is that maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe like when I start second guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like okay, should I have a plan B right now, or how should I map this out? Because I feel like in our generation or this in life in general, when people like when we have a plan and like when stuff don't go to our plan, we think like, whoa, it's the end of the world.
Hmm.
When it's like, well, everything doesn't have to go to plan. Everybody has different avenues and different, lanes that they take to get to where they want to go, need to go. So I think that's one thing I really want to balance and take advantage of. I think that's one thing that I gotta work on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been working on that too because I know, like you said, the industry itself, it's really easy to fall into insecurity. There's some people that follow, I'm so happy for them, but then at times I feel not jealous or anything, but just like, oh my God, am I behind? That type of,
Yes.
I love what they're doing and I'll comment, repost anything. I'll do any of that, but like, I just feel
Just
behind.
feel me.
I think rejection too can
Oh
definitely
yeah.
cause insecurity. At the short course, I felt like, just not adequate. I still wanted to be a journalist, but I just felt inadequate. And I think it rubbed it in even more when I wasn't selected for the multimedia project. And I was like, dang, did they just not see enough in me? Um, but I had to kind of like you said, everybody's on their own path. And
And they're not gonna get rid of you because you're the student representative, so they're gonna see a lot more of you. So just remember that.
yeah, and that's kind of what ran through my mind when that opportunity came up. I was like, yeah, I got rejected for this, but I got accepted for that. So
Mhm.
that's
Everything happens for a reason. I had to learn that. I had to learn that. When I got in college, I realized everything happens for a reason. It's either for a lesson or it's either for like maybe that wasn't the right place for you, or maybe this person really wasn't on your side. It everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes in that moment it's hard to swallow. That pill is hard to swallow. But use you as an example. You didn't get into the multimedia project, right? But guess what? You're the student rep elect for
Yeah.
NABJ, right? Think about that. So it's just like I think that's really what I have to, and I think we have to understand. Like we want to be in things and be successful in everything. When that's not realistic. You're not that.
Exactly.
Not everybody's going to like. Even when we get into business, it's not going to be like that. You're not going to win every Emmy you're going to get nominated for.
Yeah.
You're not going to win that. You're not going to get every story that you want. You're not going to get every. It's not going to happen. Like everything is not going to go your way, and that's something I got to work on. That's something I have to work on. Not everything is going to go your way.
Yeah.
And that's television though. Like it is live television. You gotta be on your toes. Like you gotta be on it. I think that's really how I look at it because you got to be on a pivot. You got to be able to pivot. That's how life is. It's just like I feel it's like a live show. You never know what's gonna happen. Anything can happen, and you gotta be able just to pivot and
Anything.
make sure you don't get fined through FCC.
Oh, that's the best way to put it. Like
Yeah.
it's like live TV. Anything can happen. You just like I said, be able to adapt, be able to pivot. I think one lesson God is teaching me is just, how to deal with rejection in various ways. Like
Yes.
going
Oh,
with closed doors, closed opportunities, and just trying to realize, everything really happens for a reason.
you have to learn how to be patient too.
Yeah.
I think because like when certain things, it's tough for me too. Like when certain things don't happen like I think it should,
Yes.
I get annoyed. I get angry, and I'm only getting angry at myself because no one else is gonna. All you could do is wait. All you have to do is wait. And I think that's the moral of the story. Just be patient.
Patient.
Everything everything happens for a reason.
And I'd say, don't let rejection or um things that don't go your way define who you are or make you insecure. And that's one thing I'm trying to overcome. When I got rejected for an organization earlier this year, and the woman told me, well, the girls didn't see you as a good fit. That really hit me. And usually when people say things to me, it doesn't get under my skin, but it did for a while because I question, am I good enough? Am I like, there's no way they wouldn't pick me. I embody this, I embody that, and it, like I said,
It's they're lost.
yeah, like it really shook me. And I had to like bounce back from that and, remember who I am and, remember that decisions other people make doesn't define who I am.
Nope, it doesn't. It's all about you have the power of your own destiny.
Yeah.
You do. You really do. Oh, well, that does it. Episode 9 in the books. Next week is episode 10. Oh, our 10th episode. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. But we love you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below. And we'll see you on episode 10. Oh,
Yep.
did you hear that with Shimei and the Lord? And see you guys next time. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen.